So Leanne and Martha, welcome. My name is Jack Rubin. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I just want to welcome you. So just a little bit of information, just to provide you some information. The informed consent that you signed before coming in, I just want to go over that a little bit so you have some understanding about that. So it talks about the types of services that we provide. It also talks about the staff that we have here at the counseling agency. And it also talks about confidentiality. So first, in terms of staff, we have licensed psychologists here, we have social workers here, we also have licensed professional counselors here. And in terms of services, we provide all kinds of different counseling services, such as individual counseling services, couples counseling services. We also offer some group services as well. So before we get started, let me go over confidentiality with you, okay? So to start off, everything that you and I talk about, everything that we talk about in here is completely confidential, okay? That basically means that your information is not shared. The only way that your information would ever be shared is if you were to actually fill out what we call a release of information, okay? So with the release of information, you would identify who you want the information to go to, as well as what specific information you want shared, all right? If you don't sign a release of information, we're not going to share your information. Any questions on that so far? Okay, so, but there are some limitations to confidentiality, okay? And the limitations are if you were to disclose that you're going to hurt yourself, hurt someone else, or if there's any kind of active child abuse or active elder abuse, okay? Or if you're involved in the criminal justice system and there's a subpoena for your records, then we're obligated by law to break your confidentiality without your consent, and that's just to ensure that you and everyone else is safe. Is there any questions about any of the limitations to confidentiality?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay. All right, so to start off, how can we help you and what brings you here?
Well, recently, Leanne and I moved in together about 3 months ago. And we worked together, and she just got promoted, but her job would take her to Boston, and we can't decide if I should go too because I'm more inclined to stay here where my family is.
Sorry, I'm a little nervous. My heart's kind of racing a little bit.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not good with people I don't really know, so.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so I guess the main thing is just, like, Boston is a really big opportunity. Like, we don't really have anything here. I mean, we don't.
Take your time.
So, sorry. So I have family and friends back in Boston that I feel comfortable with, that I can do things with, and here it's really just me and Martha, and I just always worry that something's gonna happen, like, you know, I don't know, just like if something happens to her here, we can't get married, so if she ends up in the hospital, you know, I don't have any rights to go see her. Her family doesn't like me, and I just feel really anxious here, and like I said, if something happens to her, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and at least if we're in Boston, I'm making more money, and we've got my family, and I don't know, I guess we're just kind of at a crossroads.
Martha, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Just that, you know, moving in together has been somewhat of an adjustment for us, but things were going fairly well. We're just kind of not sure as to whether or not we should go to Boston. I know that my family, as Leanne mentioned, doesn't like her and doesn't approve of our relationship. And so that's a struggle here, but at the same time, it's my family. And so having them nearby is a comfort for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like they even talk to you. I mean, sorry.
Since we moved in, my family has pretty much shut me out. And it's not only sad for me, but I also have a daughter as well that doesn't get to see her grandparents or aunts and uncles.
So it sounds like security and safety are really, really important for both of you. It sounds like for you, the safety revolves around your family, and it sounds like for you, there's a concern in terms of being in a place that's more accepting and for your family.
Yeah, I just, like I said, there's nothing here. Like, we don't have other friends here, you know, we don't really go out. You're never in the mood to do anything, and I just always think about all the things that can go wrong if we go somewhere, and I don't know, just worry about how people are going to look at us here because everybody's so conservative, and I don't feel comfortable here, and being out and all those people just judging us, and I don't know.
Leanne, what are some of your worries? Tell us more about that.
Well, like I said, if something happens to her, like, you know, we've got Michelle, her daughter, and, you know, what happens if she ends up in the hospital, you know, and even though we've only lived together for a couple months, like, we've been together for 3 years, and, you know, she's like my daughter too. I've helped raise her, and I don't have any rights here. Like, what happens when she's in the hospital? What happens to Michelle? She's gonna go to her family and I'm never gonna see her again? Like, it's not like they see her. She's not gonna feel comfortable there, you know? It's not just that, like, I don't know what I would do if something happened to her. Like,
Scary.
yeah.
It's really scary. Have you all had some type of counseling before? Have you all been into any kind of counseling prior to this?
No.
Okay. I was picking up on the fact that you're really nervous about being around people. Is that scary for you?
Yeah. I just, like, worry about what they're thinking, and just that I'm gonna look stupid. I don't.
You worry that people are going to judge you?
Yeah, well, they always have. I mean,
Can you provide us some examples of that?
just, like, if I want to hold Martha's hand out in public, everybody starts staring at us, and I just know that they're just thinking, like, all these bad thoughts, and I don't.
And that's actually a big conflict between us because Leanne doesn't want to hold my hand. And so then I internalize that a lot. And I think that it's more about me. And I begin to think that maybe she's embarrassed of being with me. And I just kind of, I don't express to her, I'm not able to express to her what that actually means when she's telling you that it's more about everyone else's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not embarrassed, though. I tell you that all the time. It's just, like I said, I just don't feel comfortable here. Everybody from when I first moved out here for my job, and just from the very beginning, you know, just everybody here is so close-minded, and like I said, I know that they are just looking at me and thinking that I should be in hell and what a bad person I am. Like, I want to be back home where people love me, and I don't have to feel like that every time I step outside the house.
Yeah. Wow. That's really troubling. So, Leanne and Martha, what are you hoping to accomplish in counseling?
I think for me is that the last 3 months living together have made me just a little bit more, I don't know how to say this without offending you because we've talked about it before, but just like we disagree on how to parent Michelle, and it's just been very much just trying to get used to living together. And then with this decision to uproot, I feel like I'm just struggling a little bit on my own with the current situation, but I'm so in love with Leanne that I want to make it work. So what I hope to get out of it is maybe how we can learn to live well together, you know, and get through this adjustment period, and then decide what's best for the both of us, if we could go to Boston or should stay here.
Okay.
I feel like I don't know, I feel like I don't want to lose Martha. Like I said, I don't know what I would do. And at the same time, I can't stay here. I can't. I can't, except for work, I hate it here. And she's really the only thing, you know, if it weren't for her, I'd be in Boston right now, you know, and have my family. And I guess I hope that she can see all the advantages. Like, we can get married back there. I don't have to worry about what if something happens to her. We've got my family, you know, and they would help with Michelle, which I think that's a big part of it is, you know, like, we don't ever have a break, you know. And I think that adds to some of the stress at home, is just we don't get time just for us anymore. And like, they would help us with that. And it wouldn't be like your family. Like, I don't even know why you want to stay here. Like, part of me feels like really hurt that I feel like you're choosing them over me, and they don't even do anything. They don't love you, you know, like, they don't.
That's not fair. They love me. It's been very, very hard for 3 months because they have shut me out. And so I think that part of me feels that if I move to Boston with Leanne, then I'll never get that chance to reconcile with my family.
Sorry, I'm really angry with them. Just, I can't stand the way that they treat you. Like, it's not okay. It's not fair.
Okay,
like,
so
they shouldn't be like that.
So let's just stop for just a second here. So for you, let me just try to make sure I understand what's going on, okay? So for you, it's about that your family's here, you've moved in together. That's a big adjustment. A lot seems to be overwhelming for you, Martha, am I right?
Yes, it's very overwhelming.
Okay. And there's a part of you that wants to have that opportunity to reconcile with your family.
Absolutely.
And really connect with them. Okay. And for Leanne, for you, it's like, you know, moving out of to the New England area, you have family, you have friends there, there's people that would be supportive. Again, it sounds to me like what you're saying is security is really what you're looking for and what you're really wanting, and you want to be able to have that with Martha. Am I right?
Yeah, and I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to be anxious all the time and worried about going places and feeling like we can't do things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we have people back there that love us, that we can go visit their house and just have a night out away from the house too. I mean, that's part of it too. Like, it's when you're just at home all the time because, you know, you don't have friends and family that are accepting of you. It's like, you know, that just adds to it. It's part of the stress, you know? I don't want to feel like this all the time anymore. Back home I was happy, and I wasn't, like, I'm always feeling like this pressure, and either that or really like jittery and just kind of.
Has that always been?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, back home, it wasn't like that. It wasn't until I came here and now, like I said, I don't want to leave the house, but I know that like us just being there all the time on top of each other isn't helping anything. And like I said, you know, we both love Michelle a lot and we don't always agree on things, but not ever having time just for us to have fun and not be talking about, the little things of everyday life, it just makes it worse,
I notice you cross your arms a lot. You've done that a couple times in this session so far, and I notice you're doing it now. I just want to know, or just curious, like, what are you feeling right now?
Just, I don't know, like I said, I just, like, I don't like being around people that I don't feel comfortable with, and like, I know that you say you aren't gonna, like, whatever we say stays in here, but, I mean, I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know.
I mean, it's hard sometimes to talk with someone that you don't really know about some of these intimate issues. That's difficult. And you don't know who I am. You don't know if I'm judging you, so it makes it hard. Sure. Is there anything I can do to help you to feel more comfortable?
I mean, it just probably gonna take some time. I usually, like I said, it just takes some time for me to, like, be able to trust people. And,
Sure.
Have you ever worked with a same-sex couple before?
Well, I mean, my religious background is Christian, and I really haven't. But I kind of think that it's the same thing as a heterosexual couple, so I'm here to offer you services. If I feel at any time that I can't offer you those services, or if I'm feeling stuck, then what I can do is talk to some of my other colleagues and look at maybe referring you to someone else. And I'm certainly open to hearing, if you don't think that this is working, I'm certainly open to hearing that and trying to find you those services that will work. I hope that helps a little.
I just know that when we're in public or, sitting, I don't know if it relates to sitting down with you here, but she's always telling me her fears of being judged. And so that's why I had asked, and maybe it put a little rest, but you had commented on her arms crossed, and that's how we are when we're out, is that she crosses her arms, and I try not to interact much with her because I know of her fears of judgment.
Mm-hmm. So what are your fears, capitalizing on that? What are your fears in here? What are your fears about counseling?
Just that we aren't gonna find an answer. I guess it's just the same fear that we kind of talked about earlier. I'm afraid to lose Martha, and I know that she doesn't really want to leave here, and I'm just worried that we're never gonna find an answer and that we're both happy with, that I'm gonna have to leave, and I don't know what I'll do. Like,
You don't want to lose her. She really means a lot to you, doesn't she, Leanne? Yeah. Martha, what's it like to hear that from her?
It means the world to me because I feel the same way, especially with this promotion. I really want what's best for her and for us, and that's definitely a fear of mine too. Like, what if I lose her and she decides that she doesn't want to stay here with me? I don't know what I would do either. I feel like we were just starting the next chapter of our relationship.
It's scary and difficult. and difficult. Because there's a part of you on one side of the coin, there's a part of you that really wants to be with Martha, and then there's that, to be with Leanne, and then there's that other part where you've got your family here and you just don't know if you're ready to leave them. And then there's your daughter Michelle, and that's been a lot going on in terms of moving in and adjusting. If y'all are okay with that, let's kind of move into some of that and tell me about some of the difficulties that it's been just moving in together.
I think from my standpoint, there might be a little guilt because I divorced her father, and so now she doesn't really see him ever, and so has lost that parent in her life. And so for me, I try to be that extra support, and I'm not used to having a partner in that, full-time living in the house together. And then I'll let you describe what makes you so angry with me.
It's not, it's not anger. I get really frustrated sometimes because I told you, like, a lot of times she just, it's kind of, I don't know, what's the word, like, she just doesn't really feel like doing anything, like, I don't know, she's just in bed a lot, kind of sleeps a lot, and Michelle asks her things and she just says yes to everything. Like, she doesn't set any boundaries, it's like just whatever she say goes. And I understand that, she's your daughter and you want to give her everything, and do that for her, but she also has to start learning responsibility. And, when she plays with the toys, she can't just leave them all over the floor. She needs to pick them up, and she doesn't ever say no. She doesn't ever have any kind of like consequences or responsibilities or anything, like when we do go out to the store to like do grocery shopping, if Michelle wants a candy, she'll just throw a fit because she knows that she's just gonna say yes so that she'll stop crying. And she just says yes to everything, and so then I feel like I end up being the bad guy, and it's bad enough that, I'm not, like, the biological parent, I guess. And, it's hard enough trying to be, an authority figure and be respected. And then, like I said, I'm always the one that has to be the bad guy. And then she starts getting on me about saying no. Or, like I said, I'll ask her to pick up her toys. Like, it's not big things. I'm not, like, making her scrub the whole house, she's 7, I get that, but, she's got to start taking on little responsibilities, and she just doesn't understand that. And I don't know if it's because she's just always so, like, has so little energy or what, but she never, like,
I will say that it wasn't always this way. But it's gotten a lot worse since we moved in. And I think that in my mind, Michelle and Leanne are all I have. So if Michelle wants a candy bar, then she can have a candy bar. My parents won't speak to me, and so I'm feeling rejected from them. And so you're right, I don't have the energy to deal with Michelle's tantrum or anything, but at the same time, I am looking for that, close relationship with my family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure.
It makes me so sorry. I get so angry whenever I think about them. Like, it's
really frustrating for you.
Yeah, it like I don't like that she's almost, that it hurts her so much. Like, I hate that.
Okay. Okay, so for you, with Michelle, her being your family and having conflict in your family, it's kind of your way of creating or keeping your family together, so to speak. And for you, it's just irritating. It's frustrating. It's, not being not being the other biological mother, so to speak, makes it really difficult because you struggle with, you know, how can I intervene? Should I be intervening? What can I do? And then you struggle with how upset it makes her. It's a conflict, isn't it?
And it's not that I don't want Michelle to have the things that she wants, and you know that she's gonna love you no matter what. Like, she adores you. It's just that, like I said, it's just everything. It's just that it's always yes, even when it's things that sometimes like we can't do. Like, you know, I'm the manager at my store, and so, you know, I make a little bit more money than she does, and you know, and all that goes back to, you know, Michelle and Martha, and I don't mind that, but at the same time, like I also, like, I can only provide so much, and sometimes, like, when she says yes, 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 sometimes it's not just about like teaching her a little bit of discipline or picking up your toys. It's also like we don't always have the money, and it's stressful, and it stresses me out, and that's part of why this promotion would be so great back in Boston. You know, we'd have more money, and like I said, my parents, they would buy her everything, you know, and she would have family back there. And I guess I wish she could see that. I wish she could see that if we went back there, like, we would have that family, and it wouldn't just be us, and they would love you just like they love me, and they would love her just like they love me, and like, I can give you those things if you just, you know, but
I just don't know if moving is right for me. With my family, I know they make you so mad that they hurt me so bad, but I still have hope that we can reconcile that, and I think if we moved, I just wouldn't get that chance.
Okay, so let's just take a step back for just a moment. So I want to ask some questions in terms of just some things that I was kind of picking up on. And something that concerned me was that you said she was sleeping a lot.
yeah, I don't know, it just seems like she's always, like, if she's not working, she's, like, in bed or sleeping or
Okay.
just watching TV, like, you know.
So Martha, what's going on? Can you help fill us in on some of that? Are you sleeping a lot?
I am. Yeah, I think that's fair. I've just been very sad since everything with my family, and I feel like I'm very conflicted because I feel it should be a time where I'm my happiest. Like, Leanne and I just moved in together, and I was so excited, and it just wasn't what I expected in terms of losing my family, and I think that's just taken a toll. And yeah, I would say that I don't have the energy to get up and be with Michelle and attend to her all the time, and then yet I feel guilty about it, and then just sleep more. It's such a hard battle for me.
So let me ask you, I mean, normally how many hours of sleep would you get? Normally, like before this was happening, how many hours of sleep would you normally get?
I think I sleep about 7 hours a night.
Okay, so that's your baseline pretty much? Okay.
Yeah.
And how many hours are you sleeping now?
I mean, I'll do my night sleep, but that's probably more like 10 or 11 now, and then I usually take a nap when I come home from work. Okay. So, you know, it's different every day, but maybe 13 or 14 hours.
Okay. And that's been going on how long, would you say?
Last couple months, probably.
Yeah, it all started when we moved in. I think probably the first month I was doing pretty good, but yeah, it's been pretty close to when we moved in, so last few months.
Okay.
I think, and like, I really think it's her family. And, you know, it's like, they were not supportive before. Like, it's not like they had a great relationship before, but I see how much they've hurt her now, and like I said, every time I think about it,
It's frustrating.
I can't talk about it because I'll just, it'll just.
Okay.
But
Okay. So let me just ask Martha just a couple more questions, if that's okay. Are you, have you lost any pleasure in any activities that you used to enjoy doing? I mean, are there things that you used to like to do, and now you're just not wanting to do them anymore? Or is that happening for you?
Yeah, the thing that most comes to mind is just spending time with Michelle, you know, and I feel like I don't really have the desire or the energy to do that much at the moment, and that's very hard for me because then I feel I should be doing it too. Work used to be fun, but I don't really enjoy that much at the moment either. You know, I used to like what I did, and now I don't know. I just it gets harder. I think that's why I get more sleep. Is it gets harder to get up in the morning and get going, whereas before I was very excited each day to get up and go to work.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? Anything else that's been struggling or you've been having some difficulty with? Do you have any difficulty with concentration or?
Yeah, you've mentioned that a few times where we'll be talking and maybe I'm not actually listening, and it's not because I don't want to listen, but I think my mind might be just a little preoccupied.
Okay. So sometimes it sounds like it might be hard to focus?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you had any thoughts of hurting yourself?
No, not now. I had some depression in the past, and like before I met Leanne, I had struggles. I didn't. I thought about suicide, but I never really knew how I would do it or anything like that. I was just in a very depressed state.
Okay.
And then we got together, and even though I'm very sad over my family and it consumes most of my thoughts at the moment, I don't have any thoughts of harming myself today.
Okay. Have you had any thoughts of hurting yourself in the past 2 months?
No.
Okay. So just real quick, I mean, some of the thoughts that you were having when you were thinking of suicide, what were they, if you don't mind sharing?
No, that's fine. It was more just like that I didn't want to be here.
Didn't want to be here.
Yeah, I didn't really think that I had much purpose.
Okay.
And so, like, why was I here?
Okay. And so just a standard question. I ask most of my clients this, but have you ever attempted any suicide?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for sharing. I know that those are some difficult questions to answer, and again, they're just standard questions that we ask our folks just to make sure that folks are safe.
Okay.
And, you know, something that she kind of mentioned is this is like her first, you know, real relationship with a woman, and you know, obviously that's changed a lot with her family and everything else, and I think that you know, that's part of like what scares me is, you know, that's happened before where it's like you know, back home everybody was a lot more accepting, like my family and stuff. Like I grew up kind of knowing, you know, who I was and not being judged for it, and I feel like maybe she's just like not really ready to, like, I just, you know, I feel like part of the reason she doesn't want to move is that she doesn't really, you know, want to marry me because you know, of the way that people look at us or the way that her family is. And like, you know, I guess I just worry that we're in different places with that, and that scares me a lot because, like I said, I don't want to lose her, and at the same time, like, I can't, like those are things that I want, and I can't change that. And it just, like, all this just, it scares me, just like said, that we're just not going to be able to work it out because we just maybe want different things or are in different places, you know, because that's happened to me before. And I just...
And that's really scary.
My,
Well, I'm sorry,
I
go
just
ahead.
wanted to elaborate on something Leanne said, because your family is so supportive. They've always been, and my family is Southern Baptist, and they are very conservative. And, you know, I found some strength to let them know who I was a few years ago, but up until then, I always did what I thought would please them, and got married and had a kid, and just because it was the right thing to do. But I was never happy doing that. And then when I met Leanne, I've never been happier, but this is my first relationship, and so it's very much a struggle for me because I've always done what my family wants me to do, and now I'm trying to branch out and do what I want to do. And yet sometimes, because of the way I was brought up, I challenge my thought process. Am I wrong in doing this? Did I mess up? And I don't think that I am, but sometimes my parents are in the back of my mind, you know, saying that. So,
And it's just it's so frustrating for me because it's so frustrating because I want you to just be able to be who you are. Like, you're so beautiful. You're just, like, you're amazing. Like, it shouldn't matter. Like,
thank you.
They can't change who you are, you know. And
Wow. What's that like to hear that?
It feels so good. It feels so good. You're so supportive of me, and I love that about you. I can see how your family really allowed you to be yourself, and I feel like I'm missing something too at the same time. It's so wonderful to hear, but then I feel like I almost don't believe it because of what my family says to me.
And that's why it's so frustrating, is because I know what she can have. Like, I know that it's there just waiting, and I worry that she's just not going to take it. Like, it's there. Like, that can be you. You know, like, you can have that filled.
And I think before, and you know me, we've been together for so long, but I think before I would have taken the leap and not thought twice about Boston, because I finally found myself and was able to voice who I was from my own opinion and not my family's. But lately I almost don't even feel like I have the energy to consider it anymore. I feel like I just feel so overwhelmed.
Okay. So a couple things. So first, I was noticing when you were talking about your family, there's like this smirk that you do, kind of like almost like a laughter. And so I get the sense that you have some feelings around that. Do you care to share about that?
It's so hard to discuss them, and Leanne's let me see what a family could be, and so when I say the word family, not only does what comes to mind my family that raised me, but also the family that I'm creating. And I think I'm just very, I think the smirk comes through, that I can see the difference and see what can be, what you want to be. But I think that might be what's in my mind is when I say the word family.
Right.
Both kind of
both images come to mind.
Yeah,
one
absolutely.
with your family of origin, and then of course you have your family
Yeah.
with Leanne, and how contrastingly different they are.
Yeah, and it's also so painful for me to talk about the family that raised me that I didn't know I was doing it, but I probably wince a little bit just because of how in pain I am, like how much it hurts.
Sure. It really is hurtful.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you tell me about how you first met? How did the two of you first meet?
Well,
Wow, really brings some smiles.
well, we work together actually, and so Leanne was there on my first day on the job and trained me, and we just right off the bat had an instant connection, and I just I do smile when I think about that day because it was just such a great day.
I just remember thinking, I'm gonna lose my job. And because you weren't supposed to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's part of our thing too, is that at work, like, no one can really know anything, and so it makes it really hard too, is that, here we have this wonderful connection, and so now that she's a manager, because at the time she was just like a seasoned employee training the new ones, but since she got promoted to manager, she can kind of work a different schedule, so it's a little bit easier, but it's so hard to work and not be able to share how we feel about each other, because Leanne's always so anxious too. Like, if you do lose your job, or if somebody would be judgmental at work, or so.
And I've seen at our work, unfortunately, like the way that they've. There's been some things with HR, and that's part of too. Like, even at work, it's like I'm not really safe, and it's not like that back home.
And we hear them make comments of the customers. We had a gay couple in the other day, and the cashier that was ringing them up made a joke afterwards, and so then that just kind of solidifies that we can't ever be who we are there.
Wow. Again, that safety concern, huh?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, Martha?
Well, I think I don't know, but I think it's even harder for me because I didn't really ever have a support that was, I've never seen the inclusive part of things. I've always seen kind of me being pushed aside for being different instead of being okay. Whereas Leanne was raised that be who you are and we'll love you anyways.
I don't know, like, maybe we should just, like, go visit for a couple weeks so that you can see that, because, like I said, like, it's so frustrating for me because all these things that we talk about, like, there are things that, like I said, I want to give her, like, I can help give you those things, like, you can have them, and, I don't know, maybe if you see it, maybe that would help. Maybe you would understand what I'm talking about, because, I don't know, it just...
Do you think that's a good idea?
Well, I mean, I'm not really here to tell you what you should do, but we can certainly continue to explore that in counseling so that the two of you can come up with some ideas that will fit for you and make some decisions for yourselves.
I'm open to it. I don't know but I'm open to it, to maybe going and checking it out. I think that's a good idea.
I think it would be, you know.
Okay. So let me regress a little bit back, if that's okay. I'm just curious. When the two of you first met, it was this great experience. You all were smiling. It was happy, and then we kind of went into where you were both recognizing or aware that you couldn't really be yourselves at work because of the implications of having a same-sex relationship at your particular place of employment, which must have been difficult. But I'm just curious in terms of, for each other, I mean, what stood out for each other? What were your first impressions about each other? If you don't mind sharing some of that.
For me, I was so nervous on my first day of work, and Leanne just had this calmness about her and was so easy. Like, if I made a mistake, it was never, you can't do that. It was just a very calm approach, and very nurturing, just kind of, letting me mess up a little bit and it being okay. And I don't think I'd ever really experienced that before, but I was just so drawn to you. Obviously, off the first bat, is a physical attraction. I think you're beautiful, and I was very excited that Leanne was going to train me. But then when I just got to know her a little bit better, I think that was definitely something. That's what made me think about, oh, I wonder where that could go. And it being my first relationship with a woman, so.
She was so nervous. It was so cute. It was adorable. But, like, the more that she started getting comfortable, she's really funny. She's so funny, and she's usually so full of life, and that's what's been hard, too, lately, is just not having that spark anymore. But she's always funny and just smiling and happy, and she's I told you, she's like just the most beautiful person I've ever met. Like, I just
Wow.
Despite some of the issues that we have, I mean, we obviously do have a great relationship without outside factors. We talk about this sometimes, or if it was just us, then it would be, so fabulous. And so, it's fun. It's really fun to revisit that.
Yeah, like really even at home. Like if Michelle, it wasn't, which I think anytime you're raising a kid, you're gonna have,
Struggles.
2 people from 2 different families. Like,
Yeah.
That's understandable, but those are things you can work through. So.
I just can't help but notice how the two of you light up with each other when you talk about what you like about each other. Two of you just light up and you're smiling, and it's really quite clear that the two of you care quite a bit about each other.
Yeah, we do.
There's a lot of love there.
There is. Yeah.
I told you I don't know what I'd do without her. Like,
So I'd like to move forward just a little bit, and my next question for the two of you is, I mean, now that you've been in this relationship, it's committed, you're living together, and you have Michelle in your lives. I mean, what was it like to transition to be a parent?
Well, even though Michelle's not my child biologically, I was the oldest growing up, and I had a lot of siblings, so it wasn't really anything different that I was used to. I'm really comfortable with kids, and you talked about, I had thought about for a while, actually like going in and working with kids because I really love them. So that hasn't been hard. It's just been really frustrating, like I was talking about earlier with Martha, just like, not backing me up on things, like I'll tell Michelle to do something and she knows that she can go to Martha and she'll tell her that she doesn't have to do it, or, just Martha always saying yes to everything. And I understand she's only 7, it's just, she does have to have some responsibilities, like she needs to clean up after she's done playing with her toys and those kinds of things. So that's really the only thing that's been frustrating, is that like I know that she knows that she doesn't have to do what I ask her or tell her to, because Martha is just gonna say yes to everything.
I think my parents were so strict and didn't really let me be who I wanted to be or do things that I wanted to do, that I just try to counteract that with Michelle. Like, I want to make it right for her, have a better life for her. And I know that Leanne gets very frustrated because she feels like I'm not backing her up. And I think that maybe that's something that I should really, we should talk more about, responsibilities, and maybe like starting to add in a few of them. But at the end of the day, like, that's why I am so easygoing, or however you want to classify it, with Michelle. I have a brother and a sister, and I'm the middle child, but my younger brother is so close in age with me that I didn't really, have a lot of experience with young children or babies, or raising a sibling like you helped do. So this is all new territory for me, and I feel like I need a learning manual sometimes, but there isn't one. So,
and I know that's frustrating for her. You know, like parents never want somebody who isn't a parent telling them what to do. Like I get that. It's just, you know, like I said, I think that we just need to kind of sit down and get on the same page in terms of expectations. Because it's not that I want Michelle to, like, you know, always be trying to follow everything that we lay out for her, or, you know my family, they're loving and accepting.
yeah.
It's not that. I'm not trying to, you know, fight that or anything. It's just that she does have to understand that, you know, there are just basic things that are respect things. If you play with your toys, you clean them up. Those type of things,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, so there's just some differences in the way that you view parenting.
Sure.
So, okay, well, that's definitely some things that we can talk some more about as we continue to go. We can talk about perhaps some different parenting styles and take a look at where the two of you fit, and then we can kind of see if maybe some ways of bringing you closer together in terms of making some decisions about how you want to parent.
I think that would be good.
Okay. Well, that's something we can definitely talk some more about in future sessions.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're coming to about the end of our time, and so I just want to basically wrap up from here. Are there any questions that you have for me, any concerns that either of you have before we finally close session today?
What happens? What's next, I guess?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what's next, right? Okay, so basically what we're going to do from here is we will schedule our next session. And so I'd like to get maybe a little bit more information about your family of origin, so we can talk a little bit more about some of your relationships within your family. Additionally, what we can do is go over the strengths and weaknesses, and there's some questionnaires that I like to give my couples, and so we can get an idea of where your strengths and weaknesses are. And then additionally, maybe what we can do is schedule some time where I can meet with you each individually and have like a mini session. And then at that point, we'll get together and we'll collaborate and we'll talk about the types of interventions that you both want, and I'll offer some of my opinions and my advice as well, and we'll just come up with where we want to go in terms of how we're gonna, continue with the couples counseling.
That sounds good. Do you think you want to continue working with us? At the beginning, you had mentioned that you might refer us out if you didn't think you could work with a same-sex couple.
Sure. That's a good question, Martha, very good question. I do want to work with the two of you. And like I was saying earlier, if the two of you felt like the sessions were not going the way you want, you can certainly let me know. I would certainly offer you a referral. And that's something that we as counselors do. We offer referrals. So I also have some colleagues that I can also consult with. And so if I have questions, I will consult with them. And of course, that would be keeping your information confidential. But yeah, I would like to continue working with the two of you if that works for the two of you.
I'd like that. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. So with that said, how did today's session go for the two of you?
It was different than I expected. Even though we talked a lot about the struggles we're having, it was really nice to have both of us smile and,
Yeah, it was nice to talk about, like, when we first met again, and
yeah.
Absolutely.
felt a little bit of hope, and
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah. Allowed you to see some hope in the situation. And that's another thing too. You were able to, remember those good times. Lots of times couples sometimes will just be in the moment of thinking about the bad times or the conflicts. But the two of you were able to remember the good times and really nice to see the two of you be able to connect like that.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll wrap up. We'll go out. We'll reschedule you for the next sessions and move forward.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay.